Nitai Gaura Premanande.
So we have for some today and no slides. There's something as
So how do we do the? We don't do the repeat. So
yes, as only just you.
So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 18. There's no possibility to put the verse on the screen today, so I will just say the verse and then I'll read the translation and purport. Udara sarva evaite gyani tvatmaiva me matam astitasa yuktatma mam evanutamam gatim. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma, or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord, because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.468, the Lord says, Sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tvaham mad anyat te na jananti naham tebhyo managapi. Quote, the devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotee does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vanchakarpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So in this verse, Krishna is elaborating on what he said in 2 verses before, in text 16. Krishna is explaining that the devotees that are in full knowledge of him are very, very dear to him. So in the previous verses, Krishna says that there are 4 types of people that start to render service unto him. And the 4 are the person that's in distress, the desire of wealth, the person that's inquisitive, and the person that's in search of knowledge of the Absolute. So I remember when I was coming in contact with Krishna consciousness, I think I was a little bit inquisitive. I wanted to know what is it all about, and I wanted to find out a little bit more. And then later on, somehow by Krishna's arrangement, I feel, I became distressed. I wasn't really that distressed at the time, but I wanted to know, I was inquisitive. And so when I really started to take to the process of Krishna consciousness, I was in some distress, and I approached Krishna to please get me free from this distress. And also, when I first came in contact with, when I started to turn towards God, sometime before that, it was under the Christian faith, and I started to read the Bible. It was also out of a situation of distress. So I could relate to this verse, how Krishna is saying there are these different categories. And you may also remember, or you might think, what is my motivation now? Why am I here? But this is very interesting that there's these 4 different types of people. So Krishna says that the person in knowledge is most dear to him. The person that comes to him wanting knowledge is most dear. And I wonder, why is that? I was thinking. So I was contemplating this, and it made sense to me in a sense, because Krishna is there to fulfill our desires in these different ways. Either if we're distressed or if we want wealth, we can approach Krishna. But someone who's wanting to find out more about Krishna himself, he's in a special sort of category. And we can analyze what is the result. If I approach Krishna to get some wealth, what is the result? The result will be that I get some wealth. If I approach Krishna because I'm in distress, the result will be that I become free from the distress. And so then my relationship with Krishna is in that context. That if I approach Krishna out of distress, he will free me. So he's that person that can help me in that way. If I want some wealth, I can approach Krishna, I can ask him, and he will provide that. So that's the relationship. He can give me some wealth. And the person may be satisfied in that way. But the devotee that approaches Krishna for knowledge, what's the result? The result will be that he will serve Krishna. Because he will know Krishna is so wonderful, Krishna is so kind, Krishna is so... he values his devotees so much. Let me also become a devotee. So in that sense, there's a difference that then Krishna is saying here, that person becomes very dear to me because he serves me. But every devotee is dear to Krishna. So I thought this was really a nice point in this verse, that everyone that approaches Krishna is dear. Because we might think about this and think, okay, so it's best to approach Krishna to get some knowledge. He says that person is most dear to me. But we can't really change that. Can we change that? If we're in distress, to decide, no, I'm not in distress anymore. Let me rather approach Krishna for knowledge. If we see someone and we see they're in distress, and then we say, no, actually, you should approach Krishna for knowledge, it's better. He appreciates it. You can't really do that. Yeah, so it's natural. And there's a natural progression as well. So that's the beginning point. That's how we come to Krishna consciousness. There's some motivation might be there. There's one nice pastime I heard where a thief was looking for Krishna in Vrindavan. And he was sitting in the Bhagavatam class, and he heard about how Krishna has so many ornaments, and he has so much jewelry, and he's the wealthiest person, and so forth. So he decided, I want to meet Krishna, and I want to steal his jewelry. So he was calling out around Vrindavan everywhere, Krishna, Krishna. He was looking for Krishna. He was so desperate to find Krishna, but his motivation was to steal his jewelry. Anyway, Krishna appeared to him, because his desperation was so great. He was so in need of seeing Krishna. So Krishna appeared to him and he said yes. And at that point he immediately forgot about stealing his jewelry, because Krishna is so beautiful. And he became immediately purified by seeing Krishna. So in one sense it doesn't matter how we start, but it matters how we finish, or how we continue, and how we progress. And there's a natural progression. Even for Dhruva Maharaj, a famous example, Dhruva Maharaj, he was very offended by his stepmother and also by his father. He was a young boy, 5 years old, and he wanted to sit on the lap of his father, and his stepmother didn't allow that because her son was sitting there, and so also the father was more inclined to the stepmother. So he told Dhruva to not come onto his lap, and Dhruva was very, very distressed. He went to his mother and he said, I want a kingdom greater than even my grandfather's. I want the whole kingdom. What to speak of the lap of my father? I want the whole kingdom. And his grandfather was Lord Brahma. So he wanted a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma, which means he wanted a kingdom greater than the universe. So he had a big material desire. And his mother told him, you should approach God. Only God can give this to you. And he said, where can I find God? He's 5 years old. Where can I find God? She told him, you have to go to the forest. So he went, 5 years old. and Narada Muni was watching, and Narada Muni observed, and he could see this boy is very sincere, he's very special. So he came and he helped Dhruva Muni. He helped Dhruva Maharaj. And so Dhruva Maharaj started following the process given by Narada Muni. And eventually, because of his great determination to achieve this goal of getting a kingdom bigger than the universe, he was so determined, so extremely determined, that eventually Lord Vishnu appeared to him. And also he said, yes, I'm here, what would you like? And Dhruva Maharaj was completely enamored by Vishnu. He was so beautiful, so extremely beautiful. And he said, I've been looking for broken pieces of glass. He compared the whole universe to just useless bits of broken glass compared to Lord Vishnu. I've been looking for broken pieces of glass, but now I have a valuable diamond before me, in Lord Vishnu. So there's a progression. When we start practicing devotional service, we may initially have a certain motivation, but then we become purified by the association of devotees, and in that way we become closer and closer to Krishna, and eventually we do gain knowledge of Krishna, even though that may not be our initial motivation for joining. So this is the mercy of the devotees. This is the mercy of the devotees. So when we start to serve Krishna, then a very wonderful thing happens. As we read in the purport, the devotee becomes extremely satisfied. And Srila Prabhupada would explain that serving Krishna is just like watering the root of a tree. If you want to serve the tree, the best way to serve the tree is to water the roots. Can't water each individual leaf. So when we serve the roots, the entire tree becomes satisfied. Similarly, when we serve Krishna, actually we also become satisfied. And so Prabhupada was mentioning in this purport that become very satisfied. So it's actually very easy to please Krishna. When we compare this to the material world, it's very difficult to please, let's say, our boss. It's actually not easy at all. You have to be perfect all the time. Anybody could be fired at any time. There's no special mercy in the work environment. If you mess up, you can get fired. But Krishna, he doesn't even expect us to be perfect. He appreciates, even when in the beginning we're not perfect yet, and we approach for some material, because of some material attachment or some distress that we're in, that we think is very important. He accepts that and he appreciates that we turn towards him, even if we're not perfect and we're not doing it in the right way, in the best way. So Krishna is very, very kind like that. He even says, Patram pushpam palam toyam. Even if you offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water, I will accept it if you offer it with love and devotion. So he makes it very, very easy to serve him, because he wants us to, for our benefit, to come closer to him and to serve him. This is his mission. The mission of the Lord is to help all the fallen souls in the material world to come back to him. So he's making it very easy for us. He doesn't say you have to be perfect before you start. You have to understand me fully and then you can serve me. Or you can start even in a small, tiny way. Offer me a leaf and I'll accept that. Because that's his mission. His mission is to reclaim all the fallen souls in this material world. And Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what if all the souls go back to the spiritual world? Won't that be a problem? He said, no, that's fine. The material world will just cease to be. Don't worry about that. Everyone can go back, you know. Yeah, the material world is compared to like a prison. So the souls that want to enjoy separately from Krishna, they have a facility to do that in the material world. But it's not that needs to be there. If there's no need, there's no need. If there's no naughty people, there's no prison. It's fine. So we have these examples like Dhruva Maharaj and others from the Srimad Bhagavatam examples of these great devotees who are free from material desires. And we read about them and we see how wonderful it is that they're able to serve Krishna without any disturbance, any kind of disturbance. Krishna says that he is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. He is the proprietor of all the worlds. He is the Lord of all the demigods. And he is the well-wishing friend of everyone. And if we understand this, we can become peaceful. This is the peace formula. To understand Krishna's position, then we can become peaceful. But it's not easy to just understand Krishna like that. If you read that verse once, doesn't mean you're going to understand it completely and be absorbed in that. We might still think that we're the enjoyers. You might read it and then you think, that's great. Okay, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And then you come into a situation where you feel anxious or somehow disturbed. I want to enjoy this. So then we actually think that we are the enjoyers. As we go through life, we get different experiences and we generally think that we are the proprietors and that we want to enjoy this material world. And this is our disturbance. As Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj said when he was here recently, don't try to be happy, try to serve. But this is deeply ingrained in us, somehow this concept that we are the enjoyers and that we are the proprietors is very deep in our hearts. And this is why we're disturbed. But when we read about the great devotees who don't have this problem, and they actually feel that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and they serve him with all their hearts, and we read about the loving exchange between Krishna and the devotees, we become very happy. And we also have these examples in our lives, in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the devotees that are free from material desires. And this is Srila Prabhupada's greatest gift to us. Srila Prabhupada has given us the association of pure devotees. In our midst, we can meet them, we can see them, we can talk with them. Like Keshav Maharaj, who was here. Like the other renunciants, and others, not only the Swamis, but others also. Because through the experience of serving Krishna, through the experience of surrendering to him more and more, we make advancement. And so we can meet those devotees that have made that advancement. This is very special. And this is Srila Prabhupada's greatest gift. So we talked about how the devotee becomes satisfied. Even if he's asking for some material thing, the devotee becomes satisfied because Krishna gives him that which he's asking for. And when he becomes satisfied, even though he's on a lower level and he wants this material thing, he becomes favorably inclined towards Krishna. Krishna is so kind, he's given me this thing. He becomes favorable. And this favorability, becoming favorable, is very, very important. It's one of the aspects of pure devotional service. So even in the beginning stages, we become connected to that high level of pure devotional service if we have that reciprocation from Krishna. Because there's different requirements for pure devotional service. One should have no material desires, be free from monistic philosophy, no fruitive action, and must serve Krishna constantly, favorably, and as he desires. So those are the 6 aspects of actual pure devotional service. And you may know the story of Kamsa, where Krishna killed Kamsa. And Kamsa was thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. He was always Krishna conscious. We talk about the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Kamsa was Krishna conscious. But there was just one thing missing. He was not favorable. And that's why his service or his remembrance of Krishna was not accepted as devotional service. So being favorable is very important, and this happens very early on in our process. Srila Prabhupada calls someone that approaches Krishna a great soul in this purport. Even if somebody approaches Krishna for material things, isn't that interesting? We tend to think of a great soul as someone who is free from all material desires. But Srila Prabhupada here is explaining that even somebody on a lower level, if he approaches Krishna he's actually considered a great soul because he's approaching Krishna. There are, however, different degrees of great souls. There are different levels of great souls. So we have to consider that as well. In the Guru Vastakam prayer by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in the 7th verse, he says, Shakshat Haridvena Samasta Shastra. The Guru should be given as much respect as the Supreme Lord. Krishna says here that he sees the pure devotees as non-different from himself as well. So it's an interesting connection. So that's the highest level. What are the lower levels? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, who is a devotee? Who is a Vaishnava? And he gave 3 different answers to the devotees at 3 different times. The first answer he gave was that anyone who chants the holy name once is considered a devotee. The next year, the devotees asked the question again, and the answer was, anyone who chants Hare Krishna all the time is considered a devotee. That's a much higher level. And then the third answer he gave is that anyone by whose presence others start chanting, they are a pure devotee. They're a devotee. So there's different degrees of devotees. And Srila Prabhupada is showing us in the purport that we need to appreciate this connection with Krishna. We should need to appreciate when someone turns to Krishna, that they are very dear to Krishna. If we ourselves don't understand this well enough, if we ourselves don't appreciate the devotees as Krishna does, we run the risk of disrespecting those devotees. If our standard is higher than Krishna's standard, meaning Krishna appreciates if somebody is turning to him, even if he's on the beginning stages. But if we have a different standard and we don't appreciate somebody on the beginning stages, and we think, oh, he's got material desires, not a very good devotee, then we run the risk of offending the devotee. And that Krishna doesn't like that. So we have to be careful, we have to take our lead from Krishna. He appreciates all the devotees. Srila Prabhupada says there's an exchange of affection. A person asking for wealth or wanting to be free from distress, he has faith in Krishna, that he's turning towards Krishna, and he's asking, please Krishna, can you help me? There's affection towards Krishna. And Krishna appreciates that you have faith in me, and he reciprocates. So there's an exchange of affection. Just like if, for example, if a child brings a flower to the parent, small child, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, while he's bringing the flower, he gets distracted, the flower becomes damaged and squashed and crushed. He brings this like strange flower to the parent. It's like defect, but the parent will appreciate that my child has thought about me and has brought something to me, so that the parent will be very happy, because there's that exchange of affection. So there's many ways that we are connected with Krishna, and sometimes it's a little indirect, sometimes it's not so easy to understand. One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada about Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was said to think of Krishna all the time and see Krishna everywhere. So someone asked Srila Prabhupada, how is it possible to see Krishna everywhere? There's Krishna, what about in between? For example, how can you see Krishna everywhere? So Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the shoes of a child. When the mother sees the shoes of the child, does she just see the shoes? She sees the child. She's aware of the child. She immediately remembers the child. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada explained that we can be conscious of Krishna all the time. We can think of and see Krishna everywhere, because everything comes from Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. Like that. So there's a connection, but we have to be tuned into that. We have to be able to perceive that presence of Krishna. In the Great Depression in America, many years ago, there was a huge shortage of jobs. So they had a job interview, they had a job advert, and many hundreds of people came for the interview. So they're sitting in the waiting area, and there was some banging on the ceiling. This was a job for Morse code, some Morse code type of job. And there was some banging, and it sounded like there was construction going on upstairs or next door. And all of a sudden, the person sitting in the back of the room walks to the front, skips the entire queue, walks to the front, goes inside the room, and everybody's astonished, like, there's a queue. What are you doing? A few minutes later, he comes out, and the boss has his arm around the man, and he said, you can all go home. We have found our person for this position. The job is taken. Everybody's confused. What happened? So the Morse code, then he explained, the message, there's a message being transmitted by the banging, so-called banging. And the message says, if you can understand this, please come into my office, the job is yours. So we have to be able to tune in, and this happens by the mercy of Krishna, that we can perceive Krishna everywhere.
Excuse me, so I didn't get this point. So how he entered, why he entered?
The office? Because he understood the message. There was banging, right? There was banging upstairs. So he understood the message. The message was, if you understand this Morse code message, please come into the office, the job is yours. Because he's Morse code. Right? Morse code. So that's the connection that he had. He was able to perceive something that nobody else was able to perceive through this message. So sometimes we're right there with Krishna and we don't perceive him even. Sometimes we're reading Bhagavad Gita. We're not really aware of Krishna's presence. Bhagavad Gita is non-different from Krishna. Or we're chanting the holy name and we're in Krishna's presence in that way and we're not really aware of Krishna. Or we might be worshipping the deities in Krishna's presence directly, but still we don't really perceive. And this is because Krishna reveals himself. We cannot break through without Krishna's mercy. We can only perceive Krishna if he reveals himself. There's a nice pastime in the Krishna book where Krishna and Balaram, in the 23rd chapter, they show mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas were doing sacrifices and various things actually for the pleasure of Vishnu. And Krishna and Balaram were hungry, and the cowherd boys were hungry, and Krishna and Balaram sent the cowherd boys to get some food. And the Brahmanas ignored them. They said, the cowherd boys said, we want some food for Krishna and Balaram. And the Brahmanas ignored them. Then Krishna and Balaram, they went back, and Krishna and Balaram said, don't worry, go to the wives of the Brahmanas. They will give you something to eat for us. So they went to the wives of the Brahmanas, and because they had been performing devotional service, they were able to perceive that these boys were sent by Krishna and Balaram. They were able to appreciate it. They immediately gathered whatever food they had, and they came and brought it to Krishna and Balaram. So the Brahmanas were not devotees. They could not appreciate Krishna and Balaram. Even though they were so close, they were right there, the messengers from Krishna and Balaram came. And this is because Krishna has to reveal himself. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 234, it says, no one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. So because the wives of the Brahmanas were devotees, they were rendering service to Krishna, then Krishna revealed himself to them. Yeah. It's very, very rare to understand Krishna in this way. Out of many, many thousands of people that even have the inclination to turn to a spiritual path, maybe one will endeavor to understand Krishna. And out of many thousands of those people that endeavor to understand Krishna, maybe one will know him in truth. Bhagavad Gita 7.3. And why is it so rare? Because those people that actually understand Krishna and develop love for Krishna because of this, they can control Krishna. Krishna is controlled by the love of the devotees. So it's very rare. He doesn't want to be controlled by anyone. Only those that actually have love for Krishna, they can control Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we said, the enjoyer of all the sacrifices, the Lord of all the demigods, and the proprietor of all the worlds, he can be controlled. Just like Prabhupada, he gave the example in this regard, how the president of a country, a great person who no one can approach, you can't just walk up to the door and knock on the door and go and see the president. But that person, when he goes home and he plays with his child, he might be on all fours and the child is jumping around on his back, because he has love for that child, and the child has love for him. So there's a different relationship, there's a different connection. So Krishna, in the same way, he's controlled by the love of the devotees. So it's very rare that Krishna reveals himself like that to the devotee. Now, how do we start? We have to have a spiritual master. Tad vidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya. Just try to approach the Lord. Just try to approach the spiritual master by rendering service unto him and inquiring submissively from him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So by the mercy of the devotees, we get to serve Krishna, we get to even start the process of serving Krishna, because they are even more kind than Krishna. And they distribute far and wide the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Yes. And Srila Prabhupada also said in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 that everyone should chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone should chant with great expedience, meaning without wasting any time, without any prerequisite, immediately chant. It's not that you have to be pure to approach Krishna. By approaching Krishna, we become pure, more and more and more. And the relationship becomes like an unlimited ocean of bliss. It's explained like that. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. When you start the process of serving Krishna, he appreciates it and he reciprocates and he reveals himself a little bit because he's pleased with you. And you become happy, you feel happy chanting the name, looking at the deities, reading the books, taking prasadam. This is all association with Krishna. In all these different ways, we associate with Krishna. And so Krishna reveals himself a little bit. Initially, it's kind of like Srila Prabhupada said that the first sign of ecstasy is that you want to dance in the kirtan. Who doesn't want to dance in the kirtan? So this ecstasy is very easily available initially, right from the beginning even. And then as we surrender more, we become satisfied with that and we want to do a little bit more, then Krishna appreciates that more and he reciprocates again more. He reveals himself a little bit more even, and more and more and more. And it's an unlimited ocean of bliss because Krishna's qualities are unlimited. And he keeps revealing himself, he keeps giving more and more and more. And so we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the wonderful pastimes of Krishna with his devotees and how there's so much love there. There's so much love. The difference between the spiritual world and the material world is love. In the material world, everything is based on lust, selfishness, what can I get? In the spiritual world, everything is based on love. how can I serve, how can I please Krishna. That's the difference. Yes. So to develop this love, we may read in this verse, okay, we should be free from material desires. Krishna appreciates it if we can be pure devotees and serve and only serve him. So we might think, great, I'll do that. But it's not so easy. It's not that you can immediately do it. It is possible to do that. There's an example of Maharaj Khatvanga. Maharaj Khatvanga, he helped the demigods. He was a great warrior and he fought the celestial battles against the celestial demons with the demigods. And he helped them so much that when the demigods came back down, they brought him back to this planet and they said, Maharaj Khatvanga, we would like to give you some favor, ask us for some benediction. We want to reciprocate with you. So then Maharaj Khatvanga said, okay, I would like to know, when will I die? Very interesting. So the demigods got together, they discussed it, they turned to Maharaj Khatvanga and they said, you are going to die now. So Maharaj Khatvanga immediately fixed his mind on Krishna completely and left his body. Perfection of life, went back to Krishna. It's possible, but generally it's a gradual process and we slowly give up certain material desires as we go along. By Krishna's mercy, he reveals to us our shortcomings and then we can work on them. And there's actually different stages that we go through in the process. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that a devotee will be, what does he say? He cannot live for a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. So the devotee becomes extremely attached to Krishna. He wants to be with Krishna all the time. This is one of the stages in devotional service called attachment. So the first stage is Shraddha or faith. The second stage is Sadhu Sangha, associating with devotees. Then comes starting devotional service. Then comes becoming free from unwanted things, anartha-nivritti. After we pass that stage of becoming free from all our unwanted, all our material desires, we come to the stage of nishta, of being fixed in devotional service. Then comes ruchi, taste, then comes ashakti. So the seventh stage is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. It's not so easy to go to the seventh stage. You have to go from stage to stage. There's a mix of different stages and you slowly make progress towards the different stages. After attachment comes bhava and then prema. Prema is the last stage, love of God. So it's not something we can artificially do. We have to go through the different stages. If we do think that, let me try to be attached to Krishna, meaning I'm already on the stage of ruchi, of having great taste, experiencing bliss constantly, it won't work. It won't work. We have to continue from the stage that we are on to go to the next stage. All right. And ultimately, as we hear from the great scriptures, there is a stage where we will not even want anything from Krishna. If Krishna wants to give us something, we will say, no, please don't give me anything. Prahlad Maharaj, he was asked by Nrsingadev, please ask for some benediction. And Prahlad Maharaj said, no, I don't want to ask for anything. I don't want it to be like a business transaction. I serve you, you give me something. No, it's impure. I don't want that. Don't give me anything. I just want to serve. Maharaj Ambarish, he was being chased by a great fire demon sent by Durvasa Muni. This demon was coming towards him and he didn't pray to Krishna to protect him. He was just there thinking about Krishna. He was just in ecstasy, conscious of Krishna. But then Krishna sent the Sudarshan Chakra and he destroyed. Lord Vishnu sent the Sudarshan Chakra. And then the Sudarshan Chakra was chasing the Durvasa Muni, and he went to Lord Brahma, tried to get help. He said, no, I can't help you. This is Lord Vishnu's weapon. You have to maybe try Lord Shiva. He went to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said, no, sorry, I can't help you. It's Lord Vishnu's weapon. You have to approach Lord Vishnu. He went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu said, you came to me, but I have no control over this. You offended my devotee. You wanted to kill my devotee. You must go to him and ask him for forgiveness, because I am under the control of my devotees. That's actually the verse that Srila Prabhupada, 9th canto, chapter 4, text 68. Sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, mad anyate na jananti naham tebyo anagapi. I know no one but my devotees. They are the most dear to me, and I am the most dear to them. So he's telling Durvasa Muni, go to Maharaj Ambarish and ask him to forgive you. Only then will the Sudarshan chakra stop. And so he did that, and Maharaj Ambarish forgave him. Yeah. So the devotee doesn't want anything from Krishna. He just wants to serve him. There's a nice pastime of Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, disciples of Lord Chaitanya. Rupa Goswami wanted to do something nice for Sanatana Goswami's birthday. He was thinking that maybe it'd be nice to give him some sweet rice. He didn't really ask for it from anyone to Krishna. He just had the desire. And Srimati Radharani facilitated that. Out of the blue, this small, beautiful girl came to give the sweet rice to Sanatana Goswami. Then they got together and they were eating the sweet rice, and it was so amazing that they realized that this person was Srimati Radharani that gave us the sweet rice. Only she could give such amazing sweet rice. It's not possible for anybody else. It's so out of this world. And then they began to cry because they realized that they took service from Srimati Radharani. They would never ever think of that. But she wanted to, so she did. She's the topmost devotee. So, yes, we should appreciate Krishna's kindness, and that he wants us to turn towards him without any delay, without any prerequisite. Whatever our motivation is, we turn to Krishna, we connect with Krishna, we chant the holy names, and the Lord will very much appreciate this. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any comments or questions, yes, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's a wonderful lecture. I have a question. Ibrahim Maharaj had a disciple named Rajaliva. Mataji, she was from Moscow. She was ill with this blood disease, leukemia. I don't know in English how to call it. And she was distributing books. When she was at the last moment to give her body, Ibrahim Maharaj was with her, and there were other Maharajas, other saintly persons with her, and she was very, how to say, disturbing. She said to him, "How can I go? I have a material wish. I want to eat tomatoes." And Ibrahim Maharaj said, "I take care of it." My question is, can you comment on this small question? Can we concern such wish to be a material wish?
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, and this is an interesting, possibly a test from Krishna that this desire came. And we don't know exactly what her consciousness was when this desire came. Possibly in her humility, she says, "Yeah, I have this material desire." But whether she was attached to the material desire is a different question. Because a devotee it's compared to this. If you're standing on the bank of a river You're watching the river go by, strong river. That's like the material desires, coming and going. So the devotee is witnessing. The desires are there, but he's just witnessing the desire. It's just coming and going. So in her humility, she may have said, I have this desire, but she may have witnessed the desire, just go past. And so in that way, the devotee is actually not affected by the desire. He's able to just let it pass by without taking any action. Yeah, because we are still in this material body. So even the advanced devotee is still in the material body. Taste buds are there. He may want to taste tomato, but he's not attached to that. It's not important for him. Yeah, it's not important. He can do it, or he cannot do it. Even if he does it, he tastes the tomato, then he's still thinking about Krishna at the same time. Yeah, so I think that's my idea of the answer.
Thank you very much. Nathan Maharaj wrote in this book that this Mataji, she has gone to the spiritual world.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
We are discussing this that when we are talking about Krishna every time, so he's one of the most merciful gods, right? So he's looking for devotees. So in case if I just chant once Hare Krishna Mahaman, he takes me. Yeah? So if I somehow go 2 steps towards him, he'll take the next 100 steps towards me. I'm a bit confused about it. So when we are saying this, so at the same point of time, we also know that Krishna is one of the most strict masters. So we are talking about different stages of being, let's say, closer to Krishna. Then, in case if there are these sort of stages, and don't you think it is? I mean, at least what I think, it's more close to the materialistic world. It's more like that I am somehow, if I'm working at a place, and I want to be the CEO of the company, so I have to be employee, team lead, manager, senior manager, status to CEO. Similarly, if I have to be that close to Krishna, I have to follow this whole sequence. I have to climb this ladder. The process are the same. How is it different? And we are at the same point of time, we are always moderating about the fact we are saying that this is materialistic world and this is spiritual world. But end of the day, if I see that in order to reach the ultimate goal of reaching to a certain level, if I have to follow those same sequence, so I have to follow those same letters, how is this different? How are the worlds different?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Very nice. So the difference between that corporate ladder and the Bhakti ladder is that the Bhakti ladder is natural. Becoming more and more of a devotee means you are acting more and more in your original, constitutional, eternal position. So you are uncovering more of the artificial covering that's there in our consciousness, that's keeping us from being pure devotees. So as we become more purified, Srila Prabhupada compared it to the cleaning of a mirror. In the beginning, the mirror is very dusty and you cannot see yourself. As you start chanting more, you're cleaning the mirror of the mind and you can see your true reflection, you can see your true self, and you experience the qualities of your true self. So in that way, the Bhakti ladder is very blissful, very joyfully performed. We're not trying to be better than anyone else. There's a difference there with pride and ego, whereas in the corporate ladder, you need to step on someone else's head almost. You have to be better than someone else. You have to push someone else down in order to make progress. So there's a lot of pride in that. And it's not joyfully performed. The CEOs, they're working 20-hour days or 15-hour days or whatever. It's not fun. You get more salary, but you get more headaches. But in Bhakti Yoga, the ladder from Shraddha to prema. It's very joyfully performed and very natural, and you feel that this is my home, this is what I should be doing. It's not artificial.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. But again, so the synergy which I am trying to develop here is, so you said that in order to climb the corporate level, you have to be on someone, you're stepping someone down and then you're going to climbing that level. At the same point of time, we just discussed a while ago that out of 1,000 people who start chanting about Krishna, only one endeavor about him. Then out of all those 1,000 people, only one get to know him. Out of all those 1,000 who get to know him, finally falls in love with him. So there is again this sequence, probably I'm unable to understand it, but again there is this sequence. So out of, let's say, 1 crore people who are there, who are starting this Krishna journey, only one is attaining there, who Krishna accepts with love. So he accepts everyone, but the things which we are talking, the different stages from Shraddha to Prem, what we are talking about now. So this is again this similar ladder where I am on someone's head, I have to cross someone. So the whole point of this question is, I am a bit confused about the fact that end of the day, my goal is to reach that stage where I am climbing from Shraddha to Prem. And similarly, if you see the other side of the table when we are talking about the corporate world, that from a fresher to a CEO, so the goal is to get something, whether that is materialistic or that is spiritual. But there is always this desire in me that I have to get something. So that is why I am a bit confused that how do we differentiate it and what is the, I mean, where to draw that thin line? How do we differentiate?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not like that you have to do it at the expense of someone else, that you have to step on someone else's head. It's really not like that, even though there's 1 out of 1 million people that achieve it. It's not that you achieve it at the expense of someone else. It's just not like that. The reason why others are not able to do it, it's because of their maybe laziness. It says that in the Kali Yuga, everybody's lazy, misguided, unlucky, short-lived. There's so many disturbances, always disturbed. So it's not because someone else has taken that spot and you can't get the spot. It's just our individual, sort of endeavor. And as I say again, it's not an artificial thing to attain from outside. It's not that you're trying to get something. You already have it. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajja Kabanoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karya Udoy. We already have love of God in our hearts. It's in the hearts of every living entity. And it is reawakened by hearing and chanting and doing devotional service. So it's really not the same type of thing at all. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. When you were ending the class, mentioning about the Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, that was very nice, and also brought me to a question. We are in a world where devotees usually are in the mood of preaching. This is what we picked up from Prabhupada, his guru, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Did Goswamis also were preaching, and for that, did they also seek blessings from Radha Krishna, or is it that they didn't really? I mean, what was the mood of the Goswamis? Was it without any expectations? Or is it still like, because when we come, we are seeking the blessings of Radha Krishna so that we can preach properly, we can serve Guru properly, we can follow the path of Goswamis properly. So what was the objective or goal of Goswami?
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a very deep question. And I can't presume to know the answer, but what the Goswamis were thinking and how they were praying to Krishna. I'm not sure where to exactly read about it. Maybe it's mentioned. I haven't read myself what their specific mood was, if they were praying to Radha and Krishna to help them preach. They were preachers. Rupa Goswami wrote so many books for that purpose. They were in Lord Chaitanya's mission, so they had the mood of Lord Chaitanya, of spreading Krishna consciousness. But to answer your question about how they were praying, I would have to consult with my spiritual master.
Thank you very much for the lecture. I have also a question regarding those different steps from Shraddha and Sadhusanga, Anatta-Nivritti, because I just wanted to comment you on this point, which I heard, that it's not like we are taking every step and every ladder we are climbing or something. So some of those, they are also like natural needs. So sometimes we have also in the beginning already some of our anattas are already purified or coming out. At the same point, we have Shraddha and we also have Sadhusanga. So some of the steps are mixed, but others we are developing like in a kind of ruchi or something. Can you comment on this, please?
Yes, what you're saying is true. I mean, that's my understanding, at least, what I've heard from my spiritual master, that the stages interlink. So, and about the higher stages, is the question if it's like that on the higher stages?
Yeah, the question is about the interlinking and the others which are higher, which are coming later, or sometimes in a really ecstatic kirtan we might get a drop of what it might to have.
Yes. Yes, I've heard that you sometimes can get, you can jump to a higher stage by the mercy of the devotees and by the mercy of Krishna, like a nice kirtan. But then you settle again to the general stage that you are at, which is a mix of different stages also. And so from the beginning, all the different stages continue. Shraddha, then Sadhusanga, Shraddha is still there, then Bhajana Kriya, then Sadhusanga is all together. So it's always accumulating. And yeah, so some taste comes, some ruchi, but we don't stay on that. So somebody who's on the stage of ruchi, they're always experiencing that. Somebody on the stage of nishta, they're always fixed. So if we come for a morning program and we chant some nice rounds with the devotees, it's like we were fixed at that time. The mind was fixed, was by the mercy of the association, so we can experience some of that. But then generally we settle on a different level, and then we carry on that level and continue. Yeah. Don't know if that's okay.
I just experience from every time you go to a retreat and you feel like really high, but then it's just not your taste, it's the taste of the pure devotees which are there, and then you're coming back at home, and then after a while you feel like you're...
Yes. It's Krishna's mercy, right? He allows you to access some amazing experience, and then he inspires you to carry on, to try for that, to actually get there. Yeah, it's Krishna's mercy. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. On this question, Prabhuji, if I can add.
Yes, please. Yes.
So I think you have very nicely explained that we cannot compare a material way of living to a spiritual way of living. And in the spiritual life, we are not competing, but we are cooperating with each other so that we can achieve more. Yeah. And the more we achieve, then we are actually growing more. Yeah? And if we are talking about, there is also very rare, such souls are very rare. That is a choice that one is making. Whereas in corporate worlds, you really want to go up, right? Otherwise, you can't survive. Yeah. So there is a huge gulf of difference between how a devotee leads a life, and the Lord is also, as you said, that if one becomes a devotee, the devotee can control the Supreme Lord. So that's why also it is very, very precious to be a devotee, and it's not so easy. So this is what.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Appreciate it. If there's no more I think we've run out of time as well. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for coming today. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Yes.